Welcome back to Income Trading 101. Sorry to have left you guys last week. I celebrated a birthday, and apparently my celebration turned into a week without any videos. So tonight we're going to cover three different companies. I've got a couple trades on. I'm more active as an option trader than I am just straight up futures and equities. And I like to make sure I'm trading with the trend. That's why technical analysis is so important. But tonight, we're going to take a look at three companies. We're looking at Google, we're looking at Tesla, and we're looking at Shopify, because there are some nice trades that I've been eyeing, and I might go ahead and put them on here soon. But I want to make sure that things are going the direction I'm expecting, because I kind of got my butt kicked on one of my trades last week. It's all right as options, so I had limited risk and was able to trade out of some of it, but I still took it on the chin a little bit, and I don't like losing. So, hey, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything, and you're going to get lots of awesome analysis from me for free. So I really appreciate it. And for those of you who have already, subscribed, please do like the video. And that's it. Let's dive in. 'Cause you guys are already awesome, and I appreciate those of you who have been watching with me and sending me notes saying, "Hey, get back at it," because I need it to. So we're gonna do what we always do and start off just with the moving average, and we are starting off looking at Google, otherwise known as Alphabet Inc. Actually, I don't know why I did that, 'cause I want three of them. We're gonna do three moving averages. The first is gonna be a 10 period. Second one's going to be a 20, and the third's going to be a 60. And I like those time frames, especially when it comes to dealing with individual companies, because it pairs up well with 2 weeks of data, 4 weeks of data, and then, of course, 12 weeks or 3 months. So that's the way we roll here at Income Trading 101. Let's take a look at Google. So here we have it. Definitely an uptrend, although it didn't necessarily feel like it on these days. I'm just saying. But at the daily level, you can still tell you've got a 10-day higher than the 20, which is higher than the 60, significantly so. It looks pretty good here. Looks like an upward trend. Looks like something that's worth, I don't know, owning call spreads and whatnot. Let's take it down to the 1 hour. So at the 1 hour, we've got a little different scenario, right? We pulled off a bit, and some of this is last week, obviously, last Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we had another little period of down move, and just didn't really get any steam behind us over the week. But we just had a crossover here, so this is definitely in a period of consolidation. But we have had a crossover here, which is an indication that this might be moving back towards a bullish trend at the 1 hour level. Let's take a look at the 30-minute as well. 30-minute also has consolidation. You've got the 10 period between the 60 and the 20. I do like the way this does look, except for this period here earlier today. Actually, this is pretty nicely an up move. And then at the 15-minute level, you also have the same scenario, except we are back into a bullish period at the 15-minute, with the 10 period higher than the 20, higher than the 60. So with all three of those in line and appearing to head higher, that definitely shows us some bullish momentum. So let's take this back to the daily. We're going to take a look now at the MACD, which is one of my favorite stochastic or momentum indicators. And for those of you as well who don't know these different technical analysis indicators I'm using, I made a video, and I'll link to it in the description, called How to Trade Stock Using Technical Analysis. It's the mini tutorial on technical analysis. It's 45 minutes. I go deep into the calculation of moving averages, into what exactly these red, blue histogram is on the MACD, as well as discuss some Fibonacci and whatnot. So it's definitely a worthwhile video. Also a free resource for you there. So at this point on the daily level, the MACD has just, when it starts to oscillate but stays stays either above or below the line, that to me is a sign that we're staying, because we're staying in this over bought period. We are going to continue this trend higher until we see a crossover that pulls below the zero line. Will I think that that has changed? Let's look at the 1 hour. 1 hour, we have a scenario where we did get a crossover last week on Tuesday, the 27th, and you can see we did actually cross over the zero line, and we now are sort of oscillating, kind of had a couple of different crosses back and forth, but with the blue line, the MACD line above the red, that is a sign that bullish activity is happening. But again, before using this as an indicator, I would want to see both of these cross the zero line. I want to see both of them go into positive territory. That'll be a sign for me that this period is bullish. At the 30-minute level, so at the 30-minute and the 15-minute, it really gets hard to use the MACD because it just gyrates so much, it oscillates so much. So you had a crossover here that really wasn't too significant because it didn't go deep. Pulled back positive, pulled back negative, crossed over negative, stayed negative, and then had a bullish cross here. And so far, I don't know if you can see that, but the blue line, the MACD line, has pulled it's crossed into positive territory, as has the red line, the actual signal line. So that's a good indication of some bullish activity. Again, I'm very cautious of using them at this level. And then we have on July 30th, so this would have been last Friday, a bullish crossover, and it did cross the zero line. It pulled back off a little bit earlier today, but had another bullish crossover this morning, and immediately both lines crossed the zero line. It appears to be heading higher. So let's do one last thing. We're going to take this back to the daily, and I just want to get a better sense. Again, I know we're at all-time highs. I mean, look at this. This is just crazy, isn't it? I mean, how do you beat that? I mean, let's just take a minute here and look at what this is ultimately. I mean, it's funny. I can't even draw a solid parallel because this has done so much, and we've gotten different trajectories or slopes, and this one appears to be nicely sloped as well. So let's do this here. We're going to stretch that out, pull it back over, and just take a look. I mean, that's pretty nice. We definitely are within an upward trending channel, so that's going to keep me looking at trades that benefit from a bullish position. And if all you know how to do is buy stock or sell stock, you should consider learning options. And for those of you that don't know, I actually, for the last 3 years, have had an option trading podcast. I post every Saturday for literally the last 3 years. It's called The Weekly Option, and I just give option trades. I give 3 option trades a week: one covered call, one credit spread, which is where you sell the spread, and one debit spread, which is where you buy a spread. And the methodology has worked well for me and my personal account. It's also a system that I've used with trading money for companies. I have a history in energy trading and option trading on the floor, as well as some cryptocurrency work for a private company right now, a private fund. So I've traded a lot of different things. I've found technical analysis to be worthwhile, and knowing and understanding options has been fantastic. So there you have it. A nice upward trend there. Tough to beat that, tough to ignore it. I love that look. I would use something like Fibonacci, but we really haven't had a retracement. We had a pullback with the pandemic, and we surpassed it immediately. What I will do, what is important, is being aware of any periods of strength or support and resistance, but even that is going to have to really focus on the periods we've already been to, because we're hovering around these are new highs. So we haven't seen any resistance yet. The support has probably been right along these trend lines. So this is actually the best I can do here. But I do feel like this is heading higher. Um, I don't want to say that because I'm long, but because I actually do see an upward trending. You're seeing higher highs and higher lows. And like I said, this period last week was a little choppy, but we're already starting this week off back in an uptrend. So I like that. All right, so that's it for Google. Let's go ahead and dive over to Tesla. And as I stated earlier, if you haven't had a chance to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, please do subscribe. It does help me out quite a bit, and I really appreciate it. So let's just pull this back. I didn't do this with Google initially, but we'll pull this back just to see how much data we can pull on Tesla. And apparently, we've got the full 10-year history. Very nice. You can see how it stayed within a very tight range. It kind of pulled out of that range and stayed in another range. But this last year, Tesla has just been to the moon. It's just been crazy, complete with even you got a split there. You've had earnings that have done well. We actually had earnings back here in January, and we should have another earnings here soon, unless I'm missing something. So definitely worth checking out because, there we go. I was missing some data. Let's do this, pull it all the way back. So there we have it. Earnings, our next earnings date appears to be in October. That's great. So we had earnings last week. One of the things that got me chopped up last week was I put on a big trade and I did it 2 days before earnings. And I was wrong on earnings. And yeah, even with a trade like an option trade where you can have limited risk, you still have risk and you can risk your entire capital base. And it really frustrated me. But thankfully, I've had some other trades like Google actually that have worked out well. So keep going, trade to trade, live to trade another day. So here we've got about a year's worth of data. Let's go ahead and throw in some moving averages as well. We'll get a few of those. We're going to do the exact same type of analysis that we did with Google just to see if you do different analysis with every company, it's going to be hard for you to actually be able to have any relative comparisons because you always want your money to be placed in the company or in the investment that's going to work the hardest. It's going to make the most money for you. And so without using similar analysis, it's hard to actually know what is what. So here we have some oscillation, obviously moving back and forth. But in general, we've seen upward trend. We did have a down move back in February and March. Another big down period, April into mid-May. And since really mid-May, Tesla's just been kind of inching higher. It inched higher into earnings and has been stronger since. So right now we just had a crossover. Let me see if I can increase that for you so you see it. We just had a crossover to where the 10-day is higher than the 20 and higher than the 60. So we entered a period of bullish behavior at the on the daily level. Let's see how the 30-minute or 1 hour looks. So the 1 hour, wow, look how tight this has been, right? And this is actually, so for me, I like to buy option spreads that are in the money and sell spreads that are out of the money. And when stock is sort of just hanging in a tight range, this actually works out very well for my trading style. So this has been one of the companies I've been looking at getting involved with and putting on a spread in. Now, right now, I'm going to have to turn to the data over up in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. You can see that the 10 period is about $4 higher than the 20 period, which is, I'd say $34 higher, just shy of $34 higher than the 60. So this is bullish, but not very much. But you can see how often these stay close and overlap. So we still have a bullish period, the 1 hour. The 30-minute, it looks like we have a period of consolidation. I'm going to turn to the numbers again, and we do because the 20 period is higher than the 10. The 10 is between the 20 and the 60. So we consider that a little bit of consolidation, no clear defined trend. And at the 15-minute level, we actually have another period of consolidation because the 60 period is higher than the 20 but below the 10. So very, very interesting for a stock that I think has significant volatility for it to be so tight in these tighter time frames. Let's go ahead and take a look at the MACD like we did last time. And throw that in there. I'm going to get rid of our moving averages. And there you have it. Big crosses, big moves in this. So our last big one was actually, you can see we had this bullish crossover back in May. And we crossed a month later. It took us a month to cross the zero line. And now we just seem to be oscillating above the zero line. You had a bullish crossover, but it happened above the zero line, which to me is an indication of, at least at the daily level, that the previous trend is going to continue. Let's look at the 1 hour. 1 hour is getting a little bit more. Now look at these big moves that you see in the MACD without big moves happening. Maybe if I stretch that out. Without big moves happening in the, well, I guess these are big moves. It was just all relative. Last big one here, you had a bullish crossover on July 28th, last Wednesday, and it rose all the way till we got this bearish crossover earlier today. But until we cross the zero line, I don't really trust it because it can really oscillate back and forth and give some crossovers that you might actually think you need to trade on, when in fact it's just continuing the previous trend. All right, we had a bearish crossover in early or mid-July, and then a couple of bullish crossovers in later in July, and just a lot of, this is a 30-minute time frame, a lot of oscillation. We most recently, last Tuesday, July 27th, we had a bullish crossover, and we've stayed above the zero line since then. So we've stayed positive, which to me is an indication of continuing trend. And I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but today is August the 3rd when I'm looking at this. Let's take this down to the 15-minute level. So lots of oscillation like I mentioned earlier, but you did have one nice bullish crossover last Tuesday as well. And since then, we've just oscillated. We did cross the zero line earlier today after having a bearish crossover yesterday. But look at this. We've already crossed back. So again, I don't like using the MACD in the lower time frames. I do want to look at it just so I'm familiar and aware. But I'm very hesitant to make big trades based on the MACD in shorter time frames. So all in, we're seeing another net upward trending line here. I mean, it's just so hard to ignore what these companies are doing. And then obviously some periods of various degrees of up and down movement, but still overall these movements have largely been bullish. So I like seeing that. I like that we pulled off of this trend line, which could be support, doesn't have to be, but I'm just looking at it right now as support. Let's pull this also in, because one of the things that we'll have here that we did not have in Google, because we had a pullback, we actually can look for some periods of support and resistance. So definitely there's your previous high. Here's another interim high. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that one and just do it in with a rectangle, just so that we are. Yeah. Sometimes we get so focused on, this is my line of resistance, when it may actually be a range that matters, and I don't want to try so hard to have the perfect range that I end up missing the indicator altogether. So, oh, look at here, look at here. Tesla is actually, I'm going to get rid of this so you can see it. Tesla right now is sitting right in a period that has been resistance and support. This period was resistance here, right here in March. It sort of acted as support back in April. And this is the first time since coming back that we're back in that period. So we'll need to see if it's going to break through and become support, or if it's going to pull off of it and become resistance again. That's good to know. I don't know if you guys trade Tesla, but definitely worth being aware of some of that. And then you obviously also have, periods like, we'll just put that there. But that's so close to the previous as well that it's probably not even worth it. Wow, really good to know. Really good to know. So let's see what Tesla does in the next few days. I think it's going higher. However, we are sitting inside of a little bit of resistance. So it's going to need to break through. Otherwise, that resistance may actually come back to haunt us, right? So that's it for Tesla. Upward trending line, but possibly sitting at some resistance right now. Last but not least, let's take a look at Shopify. And I've actually never traded Shopify, but I'm looking at putting an option trade on here. Right now, there's some juicy numbers out there that I like. So let's just pull this back and just get a better sense. Okay, so we've got data all the way back to 2015, and you can see how Shopify was sort of had an nice upward trend, and then 2020 happened and sent this thing from the 200 or even the $500 level up to the $1,500 level. That's pretty amazing. I can already see support and resistance as well. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. I will point out that there was earnings last week also with this one. So any trades that happen with Shopify, good thing is you don't have to worry about earnings because the data's already out there. And so if it's a buy the rumor, sell the fat kind of thing, it's already happened. So let's go ahead and throw in some moving averages. Just like we did with the first two, we're going to do three. We're going to do the 10, the 20, and the 60. And one of the things that you can do with TradingView, which is my charting software, you actually can set these up to be automatic. But I like doing it manually on the video because sometimes you guys might be trying to remember, what does he use or whatever. I don't want it to just be automatic. I want you guys to understand what I'm using and possibly even why, so that you can use it for your own trading too. So, yeah, actually the earnings were on, it looks like the 28th of July, which was last Wednesday. And at this point, we just crossed over and have a bullish period because the 10 day is higher than the 20, which is higher than the 60. Let's take that down to the 1 hour level and see if that changes though. So at the 1 hour, we've got a period of consolidation because the 10 period is between the 20 and the 60. So I wouldn't use the moving average to make trading decisions at this level. On the 30-minute, we also have consolidation because the 60 period is between the 20 and the 10. So lots going on here. And then at the 15-minute, we actually have another period of consolidation because the 10 period is between the 20 and the 60. Isn't it interesting how these can all flip around and yet still be in a period of consolidation? Let's kick this back out to the daily, which had just really, over the last, let's see, when was this? A week ago, July 21st, really 2 weeks ago, kicked over to more of a bullish trend. We're going to go ahead and add the MACD one more time. At the daily level, we had a bullish crossover back in March, another bullish crossover here in May, And we've not looked back since that period in May. We've crossed over, but never gone back below the zero line, which is an indication that the trend is just continuing. Let's take it to the 1 hour and see. I know it's going to be a little bit more volatile. So we had a nice bullish, let's pull this higher, a bullish crossover back here, July 16th to mid-July, a bearish crossover the 26th, which would have been last Monday, and that did cross into the zero territory, being bearish. And we've had a bullish crossover just yesterday on August 2nd, but we haven't pulled back into positive territory. That's really interesting because until we pull back, I just assume that the previous trend is continuing, and that could be heading lower. And given all those periods of consolidation as well, that's really worth noting. Let's take it to the 30-minute. So in the 30-minute, we had a nice crossover that happened a couple of weeks ago, a bearish crossover, and it did cross the zero line, and then a bullish crossover, but it's not crossed. It finally crossed the zero line after several days below, and now we're just sort of hovering around. That also does not scream bullish to me. And at the 15-minute, we had a bullish crossover, and then we've just kind of hovered. Bearish crossover, hovered. I'm not feeling like this is strongly saying buy or sell. So given that we've had a bit of, I'd just say, rather obscure or non-consistent readings with both the moving averages, with all the consolidation, and with the MACD, I think we should absolutely turn to things like trend lines and support and resistance. So let's just take another look here. There's a trend line. Trend line. Ooh, look at that. That's key because this is right where we're sitting right now. And seeing that price is pulling off of this previous trend line is very key. It's very significant. We also have some areas that I would call just possible resistance or support. So this previous high, I think, could end up playing a role there, and we do see it. You can see over here that blue line actually did play a bit of support. You can see it crossed over with the trend line, and that's right where we are right now. Amazing. Definitely. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Wanted a rectangle. There we go. This would be another period of support. If we were to break through, you can see how it held or actually played support in June, and really never, it broke down but then popped back in mid-July. So very interesting levels as well. And we could draw support and resistance at every one of these lows and each of these highs and fill this chart up with all sorts of data. But at the end of the day, I think the key right now is that really this upward trend line and this previous high, this previous period of resistance, possibly being support now, are crossing right where we are right here. And that's, man, that's huge. So I'll do it right there. I mean, there we go. This period right here is very interesting. So I would actually, I'm looking at some option trades that will expire soon, but still have be bullish in nature. So I'm gonna wait probably a day or two before I get involved. God knows I've jumped in early and lost my butt before, but I just want to see if this trend line or support line are gonna hold, and if they do, I'm definitely gonna dive in and make some trades that will profit. So that's it for today's videos. Thank you guys so much for rolling with me. Sorry again for missing out on a week during my birthday, but hey, when you get my age, and I won't say how old it is, but when you get my age, you don't have a birthday. You take at least a week, a month. Hell, I wouldn't mind celebrating all year. I love birthdays. I love every new year of life. And it's been so much fun being able to share some of the knowledge that I've amassed over my career with you guys. So again, please do subscribe to the video. Thank you guys, or to the channel. Thank you guys so much. Let me know in the chat, in the comments rather, if you actually trade options, number one, and number two, if you trade, Google, Tesla, or Shopify. Definitely, if you trade options or are thinking about it, you should head over. You can Google, do a Google search for the Weekly Option Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube as well. And man, I put out a new show every week. I give actual trades, and then I talk about the results of those trades. So I'm not like one of those talking heads like Kramer or some of the other shows on CNBC where they just give trade ideas to the moon and never talk about them again. Like, I actually hold myself accountable, and it's great because it allows my listeners to understand the methodology that I would use if I do end up in a losing trade, to either flatten it out or find a way to squeeze out a little bit of profit. So that's it. I hope you guys have an amazing week.